Okay, I'm gonna show you guys how I'm using the whidden hydroform die to form 6mm Norma dasher, and then when I get all done, it's going to be formed into a 30 sabercat. But we can also do this with the Valkyrie. It's just on what die you run it through when we get done. All of it's going to be the same until you neck it up and whatnot. But the whidden kit comes with a blocked off shell holder so that your the primer will pop out, and then you put a spent primer back in the case and insert the case, and then you run it up into the die. And the kit comes with the this fill funnel, and we fill her up. And you see it comes out, when it's full, it comes out right about there at the bottom of the thing. Then you put your ram piston in, and I'm using a 16-ounce ball peen hammer, and we'll set this down to see if we can't just show doing that. And we hit it. A little bouncy there. They say 2 or 3 times. I try and hit a 4. And I'm using isopropyl alcohol. That way the water isn't going to get on your press and whatnot, because as you can see, when you lower the ram, there you see how the case has plenty of alcohol in it. And then I take the case out and I dump it back into the bottle. I probably should have a separate one for it, but right now I'm not. And then we have a hydroform case, and you can compare it to the standard dasher case. And what I have done, I forgot to explain that, this here is the 6mm dasher hydroform die by Whidden. It's the whole kit from them, and it's to make BR brass into dasher. Well, the 6mm dasher has a shoulder height of a roughly 1.241 is the minimum, and with a 375 adapter on the Whidden comparator. And the sabercat brass has a dimension of 1. In order to fire load in the guns, it needs to be 1.280 roughly. So roughly there's 40 thousandths. The shoulder needs to be moved forward. So what I did is, the die is a standard die, which is 14 pitch. Well, the 14 pitch tells you that for every turn of the die you move it is about 0.071 thousandths. So I need to move at least 40, and the 7mm Valkyrie needs to move even more, so I just went one full turn, which is 71 thousandths, and I lifted it up off of the shell holder. Not much, and we're not generating enough forces to worry about messing with the expanding the case. We're not generating more force than what it takes to fire a case. So when you're firing these things at 60,000, we're not generating 60,000 psi of pressure here. So by doing that, by raising this up, we are, in essence, letting us move the shoulder out. And we're not too concerned about a perfect shoulder. You're never going to have a perfect shoulder when you're fire forming or when you're hydroforming. But by moving the shoulder out, that allows you to then in turn push it back. I have necked this case up and then pushed it back with the sabercat die, and you can tell by the difference in the shoulder. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing the shoulder farther up, and then I run it through the die, which then pushes it back down and gives me my headspace. So it's going to headspace off the shoulder. The rest of it will fill in when you shoot it. But this way, it's held in place, it's headspacing off the shoulder like normal, and you can load it like normal and shoot. Accuracy may be affected a little bit. You know, you don't have all the case capacity, but you can run the rounds as normal. Start doing load work up. Pressures and all that stuff is going to be pretty close because the brass doesn't really stop it when it's fire forming it. So you don't have to worry about loading them long and get the feeding function issue in the AR by doing that. They're headspace off the shoulder as usual, so you can just load and prime as usual, and away you go. But now that I've got the shoulder pushed forward, I do all the cases that way first. But then when I'm done, I have the Sinclair expanders, expanding die, and I have all their expanders, but I've got 243. Right there I got 257, 264, and 30, I think. Oh, I do it in 3 steps. 26 caliber, 28 caliber. I don't do the 27, the 30 is in there. But I'm using the 26, and I'm doing it in 3 steps to go to 30. I do the 26, the 28, and then 30 mandrels in the die. And those 3 steps, and away we go. Now, beforehand, on this brass, I have already annealed it. And that way it's ready to go. Do you have to? I don't know. It softens the brass. I think it's going to make the shoulder move easier. So that's what I do. It's going to be relatively easy. The things I'm going to do when I get into production, as I stated, I want to save the alcohol, so I'm going to get a separate container. I'll dump it out so I don't have to take so much time going back and forth. And you should be able to do 100 pieces, I imagine, in a half hour, is what I'm guessing. And then you're load ready and ready to go. So, hope this helps, shows what's going on, and we're out. Okay, I'm gonna run through and do a few of them. I don't know if the camera will stay in place or not with the whacking on the bench, but we will see. And what there is a little hole up here in the die, and you just fill it till it comes up out that hole. And then piston in and give it a whack. When it bounces out, I'm thinking it's bottoming out and the case isn't moving anymore. And we got our case. The alcohol, I just like the idea. I think it's going to save getting water all over. Alcohol will evaporate and won't cause any rusting on the press or anything. Looks like I didn't get enough in there. Aha! See what happens when you don't put a primer in. Don't work very good when you don't put a primer in. just makes a mess. And there went the camera. We're still alive. This one looks a little funny. I think it split the neck on this one. Yep, this one here split the neck. So you're bound to have some issues here or there, but I thought you could see it leaking out when I was whacking it. And well, I think you get the idea. But you can move right along doing this, one step at a time, and it's going to beat neck turning and fire forming. Like for Valkyrie brass, it's going to beat doing the neck turn and stuff like that. You got a $150 investment for this die. You can turn around and make your brass. You can turn around renting your die out, or do some brass for somebody else, and recoup some of your costs. So there we go. Hope it all helps out.